Hello everyone, my name is Michelle, and for 65 years, I've greeted each sunrise with open arms, experiencing life's highs and lows with a resilient spirit. My journey has been filled with moments of pure joy, challenging storms, and valuable lessons learned from appreciating the small joys of everyday life. I was fortunate to spend many of these years alongside my beloved husband, a truly remarkable man. Together, we shared countless moments of laughter, love, and all the heartwarming experiences life has to offer until the day came when he had to leave my side. But life, as it does, marches on. Now, I find myself living a quiet life in our home, not too far from where my son Dylan resides with his own family. Dylan has a wonderful wife, Ashley, and a son, Kyle, who is a bundle of energy at 11 years old. I've always believed in giving people their space to grow and flourish, so Dylan has his independence, though we remain closely knit. Speaking of Kyle, that boy is truly one of a kind. From the moment he entered our lives, he brought with him a renewed sense of wonder and joy. Holding him for the first time, I knew he was going to be a special part of our lives, bringing laughter and happiness into our home. We used to gather for Sunday brunches, a tradition filled with Ashley's unmatched waffles, Dylan's expertly brewed tea, and endless conversations. These simple moments of togetherness brought a profound happiness that I cherish deeply. Kyle was about to start a new school year, and I had promised to treat him to new school supplies, a small pleasure that brought me immense joy. I find delight in the simple act of gifting, not for extravagance, but for the joy it brings. However, due to not feeling well, I couldn't accompany Kyle to pick out his supplies, so I left money for him to go shopping with his parents. A week later, I received a call from Kyle, his voice brightening my day. We talked about how much we missed our Sunday brunch, but he shared his excitement about visiting the Olive Garden with his dad. We promised to make up for the missed time the following Sunday. His enthusiasm for the new school year and the joy in his voice over our plans warmed my heart, reminding me of the unbreakable bonds of family and the simple joys that make life truly beautiful. Feeling a hint of nerves in the air, I reassured my grandson, Kyle, that embarking on a new school year was like stepping into an exciting adventure. It was a chance for him to make new friends, discover interesting things, and who knows, perhaps even uncover a hidden path leading straight to the cafeteria. His excitement was palpable, especially when he mentioned a desire to get a backpack just like the two his friends had, something trendy and cool. I wished more than anything that I could accompany him on this shopping excursion, but circumstances meant I couldn't. However, I reassured him that his parents would ensure he'd start the school year in style. That's when Kyle reminded me about the $25,000 I had supposedly promised him, a statement that caught me off guard and made me chuckle at the obvious exaggeration. I clarified that there might have been a small mix-up, as I had indeed left an envelope with funds for his school supplies at their house just the previous week. Upon hearing that he hadn't seen the money, concern fluttered in my heart. I assured Kyle we'd sorted out, and immediately recalled the day I had dropped off the envelope. Dylan and Kyle were enjoying an adventure in the park, leaving Ashley at home. My visit was brief, but I was sure I had handed the envelope over to Ashley after sharing a few moments of laughter. The possibility that Kyle hadn't received the money was troubling. Considering how busy life can get, I wondered if Ashley might have misplaced the envelope or simply forgotten about it. With a resolve to clear up the confusion, I decided to give Ashley a call, hoping I wasn't interrupting anything important. Ashley, do you have a moment? I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time, I started, diving straight into the matter at hand. I mentioned the money I had promised Kyle, to which Ashley responded with understanding but a touch of confusion. She reassured me that they weren't in dire need and that Dylan could cover Kyle's school supplies if necessary. However, when I brought up the envelope I had delivered, confusion turned into surprise. Ashley was adamant no envelope had been received, insisting I must be mistaken about dropping it off. But I was certain of my actions that day. Dylan and Kyle were out, and it had been just Ashley at home. I had made the visit specifically to ensure Kylie would have everything he needed for school, not lingering for more than a few minutes. The disconnect in our memories of that day was puzzling, but my commitment to keeping my promise to Kyle was unwavering. I was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery and ensure Kyle had what he needed for his new school year adventure. Despite my insistence that I had provided the funds, Ashley suggested, with a tone of concern, that my recent memory might have been influenced by the new migraine medication I started. She gently proposed that the medication could be affecting my cognition, causing me to forget or confuse the events. Ashley expressed her worry that I was getting worked up over a situation that, in her perspective, might not have occurred at all. She hinted at the possibility of age-related memory issues, suggesting that I might have misplaced the envelope or confused the situation entirely. Her suggestion to let the matter go, citing her busy schedule, left me feeling unsettled. The more I thought about it, the more the situation didn't add up. The idea that Ashley would outright deny the envelope's existence puzzled me. It occurred to me that perhaps she had misplaced it and was too embarrassed to admit her mistake. People sometimes hide their errors, especially when they fear being judged or blamed. However, I was certain of my actions. Although I typically prefer not to use electronic transfers, I made an exception this time, sending the money directly to Dylan's bank account to ensure Kyle would have everything he needed for the school year. My commitment to keeping promises was paramount, but the mystery of the missing envelope needed resolution. During our next Sunday brunch, an opportunity arose to revisit the conversation. After thanking me for the cash and discussing his purchases, Kyle's reminder to mind his table manners sparked a broader discussion. I seized the moment to address Dylan, hoping Ashley had briefed him on the situation. Dylan expressed his concern over my memory and offered to accompany me to the doctor, but I stood firm. I knew I hadn't fabricated the story. The details were too clear in my mind. The suggestion that I could forget about sending $3,000 was baffling. Money, especially in such amounts, doesn't simply disappear. I needed clarity on what had transpired, even if the money was gone. Ashley's defensive reaction to my inquiries, interpreting them as an accusation of theft, escalated the tension. I clarified that my intention wasn't to accuse anyone of stealing, but rather to understand what happened to the seemingly vanished money. This delicate situation highlighted the misunderstandings and suspicions that can arise within families, especially when communication falters. My focus wasn't on laying blame, but on shedding light on the truth behind the missing funds, ensuring transparency and trust remained intact within our family dynamics. I was steadfast in my belief that I had passed the envelope to Ashley, seeking only to unravel the confusion that had enveloped our conversation. Ashley reiterated her claim of never receiving any envelope, and Dylan, hoping to keep the peace, suggested we table the discussion until after dinner. Later, as Kyle showed me his new school supplies, my heart swelled with pride and joy at his enthusiasm, a bittersweet feeling shadowed by lingering questions about Ashley's responses. She seemed to deflect as if I were accusing her of misdeeds, an implication I had never intended. In a quiet moment, I reassured Kyle that despite the mix-up, there were no hard feelings, emphasizing that my concern wasn't with casting blame, but with understanding the situation. Kyle, understanding and mature beyond his years, assured me there was no foul play at hand. He mentioned that when Ashley needed extra money, she would simply ask him, an arrangement they had kept as their little secret. This revelation was surprising, but shed light on their family dynamics, suggesting a level of trust and openness between mother and son. Curiosity piqued, and I inquired about the funds. I had sent for a PlayStation the previous month, only to discover a discrepancy. Kyle mentioned receiving only $310, despite my having sent $800 for the purchase. This inconsistency was puzzling, especially given that Dylan and Ashley were financially comfortable, with Ashley often donning designer attire that hinted at their well-off status. The thought of Ashley keeping the difference was perplexing and out of character, raising more questions than answers. The situation was complex, entangled in misunderstandings and unspoken assumptions. Deciding to step back and gather my thoughts, I chose not to confront the issue directly at that moment. It was crucial to approach the matter with a clear mind and verified facts, avoiding unnecessary conflict or accusations. Thus, I left their home with a promise to myself to address these concerns delicately, ensuring that our family's bonds remained intact despite the brewing storm of confusion and miscommunication. Realizing the importance of addressing the issue directly, I decided to have a sincere discussion with Ashley. My aim wasn't to create unnecessary tension or cast blame, but to seek clarity and understanding. After all, mistakes are a part of being human, regardless of age, and they don't automatically reflect on one's character. With Kyle now busy with his new school year and Dylan at work, it seemed like the perfect time to visit Ashley for a candid talk. Upon my arrival, I broached the subject gently, mentioning the discrepancy Kyle had noticed regarding the money for the PlayStation. I had sent $800, yet Kyle mentioned receiving only $310. Ashley's defensive response took me aback. She suggested that if the financial support was causing me distress, perhaps I should refrain from offering it altogether. This was not about the act of giving, but the inconsistency in what was received. I expressed my concern over a pattern I had noticed. Money given to Ashley for Kyle often didn't seem to reach him in full, and this time it seemed he hadn't received any of it. Ashley accused me of fabricating stories and implied I was accusing her of theft, which was not my intention. I wanted to ensure everything was okay, both with her and within their household, but my inquiries were met with resistance and accusations of overstepping bounds. Finally, after much tension, Ashley admitted to taking the money. Her justification was a desire for luxury items that her current lifestyle couldn't afford, independent of Dylan's treatment or their financial status. She voiced frustration over not receiving lavish gifts like her friends, mentioning how her recent birthday gifts felt inadequate compared to the extravagant displays she saw from others. This confession led to a deeper conversation about values, desires, and the dangers of constant comparison with others. It was clear that the issue ran deeper than mere financial discrepancies. It touched on personal fulfillment, self-esteem, and the complexities of navigating personal desires within the framework of a family. I hope that this heart-to-heart would be a step toward understanding and resolving the underlying issues, emphasizing the importance of open communication and mutual support in maintaining healthy family relationships. Deciding it was time to confront the unsettling truths head-on, I realized Ashley's perspective was drastically different from what I had imagined. Her admission revealed a stark disregard for the relationship with Dylan, viewing their marriage not as a partnership but as a means to an end. Ashley's candidness about her intentions and lack of love for Dylan was shocking. She described a life of convenience at Dylan's expense, a stark contradiction to the commitment and care my son had shown her. This revelation painted a grim picture of her values and commitment, or lack thereof, to her family. Faced with such a harsh reality, I was torn between the instinct to protect my son from this exploitative situation and the desire to avoid causing further strife, especially considering the potential impact on my grandson, Kyle. Ashley's manipulative behavior and threats against me underscored the urgency of the situation. Her two-faced demeanor, oscillating between feigned cordiality and outright hostility, confirmed my worst fears about her influence on Dylan. Determined to unveil Ashley's true nature to Dylan without alienating him or risking his relationship with Kyle, I devised a plan. The strategy involved leveraging Ashley's anticipation of receiving a piece of my vintage jewelry collection. By creating a scenario that would expose her true character to Dylan, I hoped to reveal the reality of the situation. I crafted a message to Ashley, baiting her with the promise of discussing the much-coveted necklace. Her interest was piqued, ensuring her attendance. The stage was set for a revealing confrontation, but not without first ensuring Dylan would be privy to the unfolding events. I reached out to him under the guise of needing to discuss a pressing matter, planting the seeds of curiosity and concern, without divulging the full extent of the situation over the phone. This calculated approach was designed not to alarm Dylan unduly, but to prepare him for a revelation that could potentially alter the course of their family dynamics. It was a delicate balance of exposing the truth while safeguarding the familial bonds that held us together, especially the innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire of adult complications. The hope was that this would not only protect Dylan and Kyle, but also lead to a resolution that prioritized their well-being and happiness. It was a difficult decision to involve Dylan in such a direct manner, but the gravity of the situation left me with little choice. The matter extended far beyond financial discrepancies. It was about uncovering the truth behind Ashley's intentions and her regard for our family. I urged Dylan to come over, explaining that this was something we had to face together, in person. While I hesitated to reveal too much over the phone, I reassured him that everything would be made clear during his visit. Dylan agreed, albeit with reservations, prompted by my insistence and the promise of a fuller understanding once we were face to face. The night before our meeting, I was racked with doubt, questioning the extremity of my plan, yet convinced of its necessity. I had devised a straightforward strategy. Dylan would secretly listen in on my conversation with Ashley from the safety of a hiding spot. This would allow him to hear everything firsthand without the complications of recording devices. The following day, as the time approached, the air was heavy with anticipation and unease. Dylan arrived, and after a brief explanation, albeit met with skepticism and protest. He agreed to conceal himself in the closet, albeit reluctantly. When Ashley arrived, I was ready. The pretense of discussing the vintage necklace was just that, a means to bring her into an environment where her true sentiments could be revealed without filter. As we conversed, Ashley's words confirmed my worst fears. She openly admitted to seeing her marriage as a mere convenience, viewing Dylan as a source of financial security rather than a partner to be loved and respected. Her admission of manipulating situations for her gain and her cavalier attitude towards our family's values were disheartening. Ashley's audacity reached new heights as she spoke of her entitlement to my belongings and her lack of genuine commitment to her relationship with Dylan. It was a painful revelation, made all the more bitter by her unabashed acknowledgement of her actions and intentions. In a final act of defiance, she hinted at further plans that could only deepen the rift she had created. This confrontation was a turning point, exposing the depth of Ashley's manipulativeness and setting the stage for what I hoped would be a wake-up call for Dylan. It was a moment of truth, a painful but necessary step towards safeguarding the well-being of my family and ensuring that deceit and exploitation could find no foothold within our ranks. During our heated exchange, Ashley was unaware that Dylan had quietly emerged from his hiding spot, his sudden presence casting a shadow over her confidence. The look of sheer panic on her face was unmistakable as Dylan confronted her with the truth he had just overheard. Despite Ashley's attempts at deflection, Dylan revealed he had recorded their conversation, a prudent step considering the potential legal ramifications. Ashley's desperation was palpable as she pleaded with Dylan, fearing the loss of her comfortable existence and the impact their separation might have on Kyle. But Dylan, having seen Ashley's true colors, was undeterred. He expressed his disillusionment, not just with the marriage, but with how Ashley's actions could potentially harm Kyle. The decision was clear. The marriage could not continue under such pretenses. In the aftermath, Dylan took legal steps to ensure his and Kyle's well-being, a move that culminated in him being awarded custody. This outcome, while challenging, was a testament to the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. The court recognized Ashley's manipulative behavior, limiting her influence on Kyle's life. We approached the situation with Kyle with care, choosing to shield him from the more painful details while helping him understand the new family dynamics. Kyle's resilience and maturity through this transition were heartening, a silver lining in a situation fraught with emotional turmoil. As Dylan began his journey toward healing, I remained a steadfast source of support for him and Kyle, ready to provide love, guidance, and stability. Ashley's continued attempts to appeal to Dylan's sympathies were futile, her actions having irrevocably damaged any trust that once existed. Reflecting on the tumultuous events, it's evident that pursuing the truth, despite the initial reluctance and the potential for conflict, was necessary. It was not merely about rectifying a financial wrong, but about safeguarding the future and well-being of my family. This ordeal has underscored the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity for growth and renewal in the face of adversity. My hope now is for Dylan and Kyle to find peace and happiness, rebuilding their lives on a foundation of honesty, respect, and genuine love.